So I went from mortgage holder to basically when the place was rebuilt in 2015 to basically being on the street, to sleeping rough. But back in those days, we had like homeless hostels, and they would actually transfer you to somewhere temporarily, and and it was safe, and you could meet other people. It was a bit rough at times, but you could meet other people. They fed you. You'd pay a little bit of rent there, but you had a case manager, and they helped you with your housing, and even some like a little bit of just if you needed to chat to someone. So that was run by the Salvation Army at Spring Hill, and that was in 2015. So I'm one of the lucky ones. I was homeless on the street for a while, but then I was at Bindari for a while, and eventually got into housing. But since the pandemic, for other people, um, they've shut these places down, and the homeless rates are higher than ever. But the other thing is, unfortunately, with homelessness, there's a lot of reason why people may become homeless. It might be trauma. I mean, it might be addiction, which is actually classed as an illness. But a lot of people need what might even be domestic violence, male or female. Could be many, many reasons. And some of these people reach through it and may not always have the skills to do the paperwork to get into housing or to get a mobile phone or then to get identification. You have to run. It's almost like you have to go through this big, one obstacle after the other. And for people, like I've got autism. I'm got a love of traffic around here. I'm a gay man, and autism and ADHD have always been a significant challenge for me. It doesn't make life easy. But the thing is, in the last couple of years, I mean, there are no homeless hostels, but a lot of people have been sleeping in tents, I've noticed.
Yeah.
Which I look at it and I'm thinking, well, that's dignity. And what I've noticed, a bit of a shift. People, a lot of people in these tents, in the little tent communities, they bond and they're a little safe community. And most of them are living quite, they've got some pride. They can put their belongings somewhere. And you rarely see the old stereotypical drugs and alcohol, that sort of thing. So I think it's really good that tents have been up in these places, especially where this so-called cost of living crisis, there's just not enough social housing. So it was really disappointing when our reasonably new elected premier from the LNP in Queensland, when he was made a statement, it was around the cyclone time. And what he said, this really disappointed me. And what he actually said is, homeless people who were sleeping in tents, will be asked to move on. We're passing this legislation where they'll be asked to move on, and if they don't, they can be charged an $8,000 fine. And he said there's enough social housing for people because we tested through the pandemic. Well, the research came and Micah Projects, who look at all these stats, have actually come out and said, well, no, there's not even close to the accommodation. So people felt like it was like, well, where are we supposed to go? So it was like a kick in the guts for them. So it's sort of, if I was homeless, like in a tent, and someone said that, it's almost like, don't I mean anything? And he said, well, we've got to get the balance right. That's what he said. We've got to consider families too, because families use these parks. And I'm kind of thinking to myself, you know what? I've seen a lot of families in these tents with kids. What makes them any lesser than any other family? Aren't we all equal? Don't we all want to be as one and get through this homeless problem together? Yeah. So it was a real kick in the guts.
Yeah, for sure.
One thing when I was homeless in Brisbane, one thing that hasn't changed though, and it really disappoints me because I've spoken to council people, is in King George Square. People don't camp around King George Square much or in that little undercover area near it. I'll tell you why. If you've ever been in King George Square any night of the week after 10:30 p.m, you'll notice really distorted, loud, classical music. Just really loud, and all it wants to do is drive people away. And someone told me once, well, yeah, that's to get people moving so they don't sleep around here. Well, I brought the issue up many years ago, and they said, oh, we'll look at it. Nothing's changed. And then eventually someone told me, oh, it's actually the Queen Street Mall's issue because it's owned by the Queen Street Mall. So it's more or less passing the buck. So I would consider King George Square probably one of the more safer places because it's out, it's lit up. That's where people are. The amount of women or even guys who tell me they don't feel safe being out in the sticks. I mean, if you've been come out of a domestic violence relationship and you're a woman and you've been bad your life and you're asked to move on from there or the music's too loud, where are you going to go and sleep in the Botanical Gardens by yourself? I mean, it's time that the governments, and we all work together at a grassroots level. This is not a left of politics or a right of politics issue. This is an issue where we all need to work together and treat each other equally. Because by putting people down and not giving people the self-worth, the homeless people that they deserve, we're actually cutting off the economy a little bit, because all those skills and traineeships that we could all utilise for now and future generations will just make a huge difference. So I'm really grateful that I got to mention this, and I'm really grateful that you guys are running your charities. I only found out about your charities today. I'd like to know more. And I'll ask more off camera. So thank you so much, and let me speak.
Good on you, mate.
Thanks, man. Thank you.